This is for Cece, Cycle 3, Week 2, what we'll be doing in my master's class this week. I like to start out with a silly icebreaker question to kind of get their attention. And so this week we'll be asking, would you rather go to outer space or to the bottom of the ocean? Then I'm going to choose one of the students, and this week they will have the power of the hand, which means throughout New Grammar they'll get to keep the pointer as long as they behave. And between each strand they'll come up and choose on the board which one they want to do next. For timeline, we will sing through it a couple times. I have my timeline cards that we'll mix up and let them put in order. And then I have these sticky notes that I'm writing the initials for each of the timeline events on. And so they'll be stuck on the wall, and they have to peel them off and tell me, okay, this means 7 wonders of the ancient world. And then they have to put them in order on the wall. For Latin, we're going to do our Latin conjunctions and adverbs to the tune the B-I-B-L-E. So it'll go et and ut that no not, et and ut that no not. Latin conjunctions and adverbs, et and ut that no not. And then we will cover up the English side, have them sing it with only singing the Latin. That'll make it a little harder, cover up the Latin, and they'll have to sing it that way. Then I will erase it all from the board and I'll ask them questions. Okay, what is and in Latin? Or non means what in English? For science, we have bones of the axial skeleton. So we're going to use the tune Mama's Little Baby. So it'll go skull and vertebrae, ribs and sternum. These are the bones of the axial skeleton. So we'll sing through that a couple times. I'll have them try singing it without me. And then I'll just start asking people, okay, so-and-so tell me, what are the bones of the axial skeleton? For English, we've got our present participle. So this week, we're doing it to the tune Yankee Doodle. So it'll go, a present participle is a verb plus ing used as an adjective or a verb. So we'll sing through it a few times. And then I'm going to have them each come up with a present participle. So reading, playing, singing, whatever verb they want to put ing on. We'll practice that a little. And then I'll have them sing it a couple times without me. For history, I'll play through the song while we sing along. And then usually what I do is just erase a couple words at a time. Erase 2 or 3 words, have them sing it. Erase a few more, have them sing it till the board is completely blank. One challenge that I'm giving my class this year is if anyone wants to be the student tutor, then they can do that for history. And so one student will get to come up and just lead the class through our 7 repetitions. So we'll see if I get a volunteer for that. For geography, we will find our states and capitals on the map. We'll sing the song. I'm using the Homeschool Helper song. It's to You Are My Sunshine. It's just a little catchier, more fun. And then we'll find them on the black line map. And then the last thing we do each week is scratch them off. I have a scratch off map, and one person will get to scratch off the 5 states that we did last week. And then at the end of week 10, we'll get to see our finished map. For math, we're going to chant through the 3s together. And then I'm going to divide the room in half. Last week we did this to get through the 1s, and it worked really well. We did a call and response. So one side will say 3 times 1 is, the other side says 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And then we'll go through that, then we'll switch sides, let them do it again. Then we're going to see if they can stand on one leg while we get all the way through the 3s. Switch legs, try it again. And our last time through, I'm going to mix up the order. And I'll just say 3 times 7 is, 3 times 2 is, until we get all the way through the 3s one last time like that. For the 4s, again, we'll start out by just chanting the whole thing together. And I'm going to take turns giving them dice from Yahtzee and see if they can get a Yahtzee where all the dice turn up 4s before the rest of the class can get through saying it. So all the others are going to be saying as fast as they can, 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, while the one student is seeing if they can get all 4s on the dice. And then we'll give several students a turn to do that until we get through all of our 4s. And that will be the end of New Grammar. For science, we usually start with going over our scientific method. So we'll talk through that a little bit. I'll see if they can tell me what the different steps mean. We talked about it last week. We'll do our water drop lens experiment, give them a chance to try that. And then I have science journals for them. And so what I ask them to do is just to make one observation. Anything they noticed in the lesson. Last week I had one person who just said, I liked it when the eye was blinking on our little blink experiment. And then I had another student who wrote a whole paragraph about things she learned about the human eye. And so whatever they want to do in our about 5 minutes there. And then they'll each get to choose a sticker to put on the page. And then we're going to talk about the word magnify, because we're making our little magnifying glass. And so we're going to talk about how it means to make something bigger. It's also a synonym for praise. So I'm going to ask them, what does it mean when the Bible tells us to magnify the Lord? Let them discuss that a little bit, make some comparisons there with what we learned in science. For presentations, I'm doing a worksheet I found where there's 6 different things to work on. And so we're doing that for first 6 weeks. Last week, we worked on posture, standing feet shoulder distance apart, standing up straight, looking out at the audience, and how that helps you with confidence and projection. This week, we're going to be talking about voice modulation. So how sometimes you'll talk softer and then louder, sometimes a little slower and then faster. Sometimes you'll have a pause for added emphasis, and how this will help your audience stay interested and follow you better. And I also have a presentation challenge for my class. For anyone who wants to, they can choose anything from the new grammar of that week to present on. So last week for week 1, I had a presentation on Columbus. I had one on Boston, Massachusetts. And so we'll see what comes up this week. For fine arts, we're going to warm up with a little bit of practice. I'm going to give them each a piece of paper, have them fold it in half lengthwise, make a crease down the middle, and then I'm going to give them one of the oil shapes to draw. Like I'll say, draw a circle, draw a curved line, draw angles, dots, straight lines, one of those. And so they'll do that on one side of their paper, pass their paper over to the next person, and the person beside them will have to mirror it. Then I'll give them a new thing to draw, and they'll continue passing along until we get around the room. This was from a video by Inside the Lines, a warm-up exercise that they suggested. So once we've done that, then I'm going to hand out these. These were posted on the Tutor Facebook group. It's not from a specific website, but these U.S. capitals, and then they will get to finish out the drawing. And we'll talk a little bit about some strategy on where to start and how to measure things out a bit so that they turn out the right size and proportions. And then while they're working on that, I'm just going to go over some history of the U.S. Capitol. Just keep their minds busy while their hands are busy. Talk about how it was designed and built, different things that happened there over the years. And then once we've finished fine arts, it will be review time. This week, weather permitting, we're going to go outside. I'm going to give one of the moms several slips of paper that will just say week 1 science, etc. It's mostly going to be week 1, a little week 2 in there. And she'll stand a ways off, and I'll have the kids line up, and they'll just take turns racing down to grab a slip of paper and come back. Then they do that one, next person races, work off some energy that way. Once we've finished that, we're going to do a timeline exercise where I'm going to say a timeline event, probably the very latest one from this week. And then they have to work their way backwards from there. So if I tell them Minoans and Mycenaeans, they have to say Indus River Valley Civilization, Egyptians, etc. and see if they can work their way all the way to the beginning like that. And then the last thing I like to do every week is a scripture hunt. I'm going to give each person a scripture reference, and they'll have to read the word and read the verse and notice a common word. So there's going to be 2 words. So the first 4 verses all have the word sailed in it, and the next 4 verses all have the word founded in it. And so then they have to tell me, okay, what part of our new grammar is this hinting at? And so they figure out, oh, it's history. The Pilgrims sailed from Plymouth, England, and they founded Plymouth Colony. And then we'll just sing through that history one more time and then be dismissed for the day.